Hi, this is Jen.
And I'm Brittany, and we're the Village Homeschoolers. Today,
What are we talking about, Brittany?
we're going to talk about how we find it best to handle new homeschoolers reaching out to your homeschool co-op or community. But we are here, and we're ready to talk about new homeschoolers. Now, I want to preface this by saying in 2020, when COVID happened, and all of a sudden everybody was a homeschooler for a little bit, and then people stayed homeschoolers as the schools came back in various ways, there was this like weird divide in the homeschooling community. It was like the OGs.
Yeah, and then you're not a real homeschooler.
Yeah, you as the COVID homeschoolers. The OGs.
Yeah, and then you're not a real homeschooler.
Yeah, you as the COVID homeschoolers. And I think, I don't know, we as humans create divides a lot, right? For no good reason. End of the day, teaching your kids at home, okay, you're homeschooling.
I know, because we had a couple that were very reluctant.
So
because we accepted them into our community.
We like to think, but I'm going to guess they just, once you get, it's like momentum. Once you get going, it's like.
It's not so bad, actually.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while. I think, I think this is why this has come up. How do we handle new homeschoolers? Well, we need to figure out a better way to handle them, because when we do that, when we go like real versus not real, thinking about it.
What is it even that?
I don't know. That creates divides. Yeah, that creates divides, and the kids suffer. And so like, there are going to be people who homeschool, and I am, the longer I homeschool, the more and more I'm like, oh my God, evangelical homeschooler. Like everybody should be doing this. I'm preaching the good word, right? I know that in reality, that's not true. And I know I'm still in the minority in the country and the state and the world, but I still I become more and more like, oh my gosh, guys, it's so amazing. Have you considered homeschooling?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yes. And so you're thinking about homeschooling? Welcome.
Yeah.
Now, I think that being said, the pragmatic side of me is we are not always the best at this as individuals and as our co-op. I think it's because we have a long waiting list.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. It's like I want to, in theory, welcome you all, but when more families get added to our waiting list, I'm just like, oh,
right.
Not that I don't want to have you in our group. It's just can't help you. I'm so sorry.
So start your own.
Yeah, there's like a podcast for that or something.
Yeah. But I think also it's like when you go into a new country and you don't speak the language fluently, and you have some jet lag, and you are unfamiliar with the culture or not totally familiar in the food and everything else, you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't know what to expect.
Right. It's like being the only uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't know what to expect.
Right. It's like being the only person of the language you speak in the room. You're like, oh gosh, I stick out like a sore thumb and I have no idea what's going on. That's what happens when new homeschoolers start homeschooling and they join social media groups and they join they're like, what are these people talking about? What is IEW? It's a writing curriculum for those of you new listening to this. And it's like,
I thought you were talking about the electrical union.
Oh,
I don't know about the curriculum.
Yeah, there you go. Then Jen's not new. Institute for Excellence in Writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, they're, people are using abbreviations. People are using slang. People are...
I even still go on forums looking for a math curriculum, and people are using all these acronyms and stuff that I'm like, I don't even know what these are.
Right.
And then I try looking them up and nobody else. I can't find help.
Right.
I ask people what does this mean?
Right. Yeah. What the heck is this? Yeah. And so it's like, these new homeschoolers are often the, Spanish speaking person in an English speaking country, or Jen, this has been you, the English speaking person in an Italian speaking country, right?
Or the German speaking.
It's so overwhelming. And yes. And half of it, you may even not feel included just because you're not speaking the same language. You're not familiar with the culture. So I feel like we need to kind of acknowledge that there's going to be trial and error, and sometimes it's not going to work.
Yeah, well, 'cause a lot of people are still in the mindset Yeah, well, 'cause a lot of people are still in the mindset like, oh, we're replacing regular school with a different kind of regular school.
Right.
And they still want that exact experience.
Right. And then you get met with your first unschooler and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And so I think, gentle and kind and understand that we're not all speaking the same language.
Yeah. Help them out. Throw them a
Yes.
pool noodle.
Yeah. And maybe you'll try something and it won't work, and don't beat yourself up about it. Just, Now, there's a couple ways that happen. And I was talking to somebody else, and she lives in a different state, and she used to be in our co-op, but she moved, and she's like, if I could just find a good location. I think like location's a big holdout for a lot of people. I'm gonna have to talk about that in a later day. But the location is the reason. Location and resources are why we have a waiting list. Mm-hmm. So most new people's experience with us is they get up on our waiting list and we have a few emails. Most new people's experience with us is they get up on our waiting list and we have a few email exchanges.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now we have a resource list, and if you asked us questions, we would answer, but that's it. And so it's like, if you're going to use that, new homeschoolers and have them feel supported. I don't know if it is or not. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people don't even email, they go on our wait list. They don't even you'll email back. I don't know what they're expecting.
Right. Right. So that sometimes it's better to provide some information beforehand. And we've been talking about this, and I still don't know if we're perfect at this, but like, how much do we explain about our community, our co-op, before you get in? We give people our handbook, which is basically like our rules and our vision and our mission.
Oh, yeah. Our mission statement.
Yeah, our mission statement, all of that. So we give them something.
Yeah, so as soon as you join our wait list, I immediately send an email and it'll be like, hi, welcome. Here's this.
Yes.
And it'll
please read over it and make sure
it fits with what you're looking for,
right.
What your vision is as well.
Right. And so we give people access to that. That's about all people get access to for us. Do like an orientation where like 2 to 3 times a year they open their whole co-op up and you can come visit. That's awesome. It just stinks if you're in a situation like us where we're limited, because it's like, come visit us and maybe in 3 years you'll come back and join.
Yeah.
So that's just really a problem. But
yeah, it just seems kind of jerky to do, right?
Right. But that's really a problem. But
yeah, it just seems kind of jerky to do, right?
Right. But then some people do that. Some people's website is completely accessible to any but new and old. Ours is very locked down. You can't see events we're doing. You can't see photos. You can't see anything other than the basics. This is who we are. You don't even know where we meet.
Yeah.
You know what town we're in. You have to kind of decide the best way to give new people information, because we've talked about this before, but a lot of times people are going into these situations looking for like a pod or a even like a private school, like a micro school. That's not what we are. And you kind of want to be like,
and then like our state, and then like our state, you legally can't do a lot of that stuff without changing what we do.
Yes. Like homeschool co-ops are great. If you become a pod or a micro school, you become regulated like a school.
Yeah. And so you can only co-op once a week. You can't do it more than, twice a week or something? More than, twice a week or something like that? Is that the law in here? I don't know.
It's something about once a week. And
yeah,
it's bizarre. And you have to be careful. So it's like, we don't want to give people a ton of information, especially if they're not looking for what we are.
Yes.
But then sometimes the negative to that is that they come into our co-op and they are like, this is not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, and most of the time those people find themselves on the way out before they even get in.
Yeah.
But once in a while, they're like, where are the desks?
Yeah.
Where's the math course? What do you mean I can't put my kid in that class? Well, it's full.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. So why can't I drop my child off? That one's met with a lot of surprise. A lot of people assume it's a drop-off program.
Yeah.
And when they get in and they're a little bit shocked by it.
Yeah. It's a co-op, so we all have to kind of cooperate and work together.
Yeah.
So
so there's pluses and minuses about providing information to people before they join your community.
Yeah.
And we've settled on what we've settled on, and it's definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So we tweak it every once in a while when we're like, oh, people are shocked they have to help out.
Yeah.
People are shocked they have to help out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So now the other thing is, I think that's where we need to be upfront in some way. What parameters and rules do you have? Are you a drop-off? When do you meet?
Are you okay with it?
Instruction. Are you looking to not be at a church at all?
Yeah.
Are you looking, how many people are there? Blah, 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 blah. You're expected to do this, this, and this as a member of our community.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that? Look at the parameters, and I think we need to communicate those clearly with new people. You also need to know that new people are going to come in with barriers. You only know how much things cost.
Yeah, that is actually a very common question, because I do all the emailing for the new members, and they're like, what am I looking at here? And you have to lay it out. Like, this is roughly I don't know exactly what it's going to cost, because it depends on what classes you pick, but this is roughly what it's going to cost.
Right. Because people are trying to budget. Yeah.
And it's understandable. And some homeschool...
We're trying to budget. Yeah.
And it's understandable. And some homeschool groups are really expensive. Ours is not, comparatively.
Right.
It's quite...
affordable.
Yeah.
But people they need to know there's going to be barriers to location. This is the other one. Where are you? How often do you meet? What hours do you meet in? Especially for the working parents. And then we've had parents who are like, I use public transportation.
Yeah. We had somebody last semester ask, like, where's the local bus stop at?
Right.
Is it walking distance? Is it, does it go to this town or that town?
Right. Which actually I think we were close to the bus route there.
But it was a pain in the butt. Like, they had to do all these different bus things, and they had to pass
because of where they lived.
Yeah, they had to pass on joining our group because they just didn't have transportation.
She was like, I'm gonna have to get up so early with my little kids and catch all these buses to get where you are.
Yeah.
And so like that's important information to communicate beforehand. Health issues, another really...
Yeah, are you going to not be able to contribute because like that?
Exactly. So what is the physical demands? We've been asked this before. What are the demands? Are you going to be able to accommodate mine or my children's needs? And so I think those are all things, and we, you have to be upfront with new people about when you're welcoming them in. Like, not everybody's going to look things, and we, you have to be upfront with new people about when you're welcoming them in. Like, not everybody's going to look the same, act the same, have the same health needs, financial means, the same location, especially if you live in a rural area or you're in an area where there's not a ton of homeschool groups. Like, people may drive an hour not to live. People drove an hour to get to their co-op.
Wow. I mean, we still have some people coming quite a distance, 45 minutes.
Yeah. And so it's like, you need to kind of be upfront with new people about this and either be willing to work around things with them, or be like, we're really sorry, but we don't know.
Because it's been hard sometimes, because we've had parents be like, well, I work on Fridays.
Right.
And it's like, how do I work this in and still do my part of the
and
deal?
we have sometimes accommodated them and figured it out, and sometimes it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Yeah. But I think being really upfront, make sure you're not getting resentful. Make sure you're not getting resentful of of new people coming in and being confused. It's not that they're being rude, or they're just confused. They're like, oh, what do you mean? Especially if they're coming out of the school system. Yeah. Because they aren't necessarily expecting what it was. And it was just so stimulating, and Mike, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay.
It is a lot of stimulation, and we're in a relatively small spot. It's not like public school where you're with 30 kids in a room all day. There's big crowds, a lot of noise sometimes.
Yeah, and so that's the thing I think we need to sometimes be upfront about, and ask. I think we need to encourage them to be upfront with us too. Does your child, like that parent of the child that said that, like her child had extreme sensory needs, and she was sensory avoidant, meaning she didn't like loud sounds, she didn't like large groups of people, big open spaces. We were probably not the right co-op for her. Yeah. But she didn't communicate that with us, and I guess we should have probably pushed harder. We just never did. Like, she didn't communicate it. We said, okay, we're fine. We went on, and we weren't the right fit for her. So I think that's really important. And just I get anxiety if I don't know what's going on. Like, so we do have people that ask us, like, how long is the day? What's the schedule of the day? Yeah. Where am I supposed to be at what time? They're not asking because they don't want to do it. They're just asking because they're trying to make sure they know what they're doing.
Yes, and I'm a very much a question asker. If I don't know what
they're doing.
Yes, and I'm a very much a question asker. If I don't know 100% what's going on, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions and probably be annoying.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I love when I like when people email me and ask questions. I have no problem answering that, and especially if it helps them figure out, like, is this a good fit? Okay, I think this is going to work for my family.
Trying to figure out how your family aligns with their beliefs, their code of their code of conduct, their what responsibilities they're taking on. I think sometimes it seems personal, but it's not. So now I know some co-ops, we don't do this. Although I'm not opposed to this. They actually do a pre-co-op. Although I'm not opposed to this. They actually do a pre-co-op interview. I have mixed feelings because I would fail miserably.
Why?
I just think, I don't know. I think I would, if you brought me in and did a pre-co-op interview, I would feel a lot of pressure and religious co-ops. And I don't know. I don't think I'd be good on the spot like that.
Oh, I was thinking you were as an interviewee or interviewer.
Interviewee. I don't know if I would be. I might be able to.
Yeah, because who would interview me and be like, yeah, I want this person in my co-op?
Weird kind of gatekeeping. And I feel like I would do well with it. I don't know. Maybe I would. But I mean, it is an option. And I think the intent behind it is not to be exclusive. I think the intent behind it is to make sure it's a mutually good fit.
Yeah.
So I don't want to speak poorly of it. And
because I don't like meeting people on the first day.
Right.
I'd rather do it in a more relaxed atmosphere, right?
Right. And then, yes. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting technique, and I think it could work for some groups. I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I'm not super sure I would ever be able to do that because you come on in, see if we're for you, and then you make the decision that you're not.
Yeah.
I don't want to make the decision that somebody isn't. Now, we don't run an exclusive co-op. We don't run a faith-based co-op. So that could be why. Yeah. We don't want to put up a parameter like that. But yeah, it is an option. And it may, in the case of, if you're able to sit down one-on-one or via Zoom with other families, you may be able to lay out, like, this is our schedule, this is what we do, is this going to work for you, blah, 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 blah. And you may be able to get all that out of the way, and it actually may make them feel better. I just don't love the idea of having to be a decision maker. And and it feels like it. It feels like authority versus, are you going to let me in?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's an option. It's something to think about, especially in these summer months. That means, though, that if you don't do some of this pre-interviews, you end up throwing.
Yeah. Oh boy. The first couple of weeks, a hot mess sometimes.
Yeah. Sink or swim.
Even with, like, the cleaning the first few weeks, people are like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. And people like direction.
Yeah.
They like to be like.
Well, some people like direction, and other people are like, I'm going to clean what I want to clean.
Yes. That's true. It's true.
That's such a weird mix. I want to clean.
Yes. That's true. It's true.
That's such a weird mixture
of personalities. But I mean, it is like this. If you're me, if you're like me, I like to be prepared. I like to know what to do. I don't want to go in. Other people are more than willing to sink or swim and test it out the waters. And you have to realize, though, just throw them into the mix and say, welcome.
Yeah.
Let's go. Just follow along. There are going to be some people who are like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to be realistic that not everybody's going to handle it well, and realize that your group and your community may not be for everyone.
Yeah, Brittany.
I know. I have to remind myself of that a lot because I take it personally. I'm like, no, are you sure? This is why I don't want to interview people. Because I'm like, I think we can make it work. Yeah. And they're like, no, walk away, lady. Yeah. I'm like, no, let's not give up on you. So yeah, I think it is an interesting thing. I think a lot of the times ride, and that's a really good trait to have with us because it's like, here we go. Like, what do I need to do? Okay, you go hang with those kids over there. Make sure everybody stays alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to wash these dishes and we're going to
Don't let anybody get run over.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're willing to run, we don't care about much else if you're just willing. Yeah. And it's like, if you're willing to run, we don't care about much else if you're just willing to come alongside us. But I know that's intimidating for some people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's especially hard if you're coming into an established group too.
Yeah, like I talked about earlier when I thought it's like I was such a loser. I was such a loser because I thought you had all these friends and I wasn't included.
Yeah, on our last podcast. Yeah, I it's hard because there's friendship circles, there's support already in the children and in the adults.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of talked about this in the inclusive. So I try very, very hard to make sure that everybody is super included as far as adults. I mean, the kids figure it out quicker, I think, than the adults do.
Oh, I don't know. I tend to be like, hey, to my kids, did you see that person? True. They're new. Would you like to say who? Introduce yourself. They'd probably love to play with you.
Yeah.
I really try to push that. Not push it. They'd probably love to play with you.
Yeah.
I really try to push that. Not push it, but I don't know. Because the idea of a kid feeling excluded is
absolutely. I feel like my child naturally does that. So
yeah, that's true. Your son's pretty good at that. So yeah, I think it's really hard to get into the ER, and everyone seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, they're putting things here, they're putting this stuff in the fridge, they're setting up their class.
They have inside jokes in there.
Yeah. Like, remember that one time?
Yeah.
And you're like,
or they're talking in front of you about like what they're doing this weekend,
right?
And you're like,
yeah, can I come?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the record, I don't want to go anywhere this weekend. Yeah, it's like, that is hard, and you have to keep that in mind when you're welcoming new people in. You almost have to be like intentional, like, hey, how you doing today, blah blah blah, all that other stuff.
You want to come? We're going cherry picking.
yeah or like, please come, or like, we're going here, or those kinds of things. And I think that is, I would tell the new people on the other side, and this is so hard, then go ahead and show up.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you don't love cherries. Just go anyway.
Yeah. I don't love the beach, but I go.
Yeah. Like, they mean it. And if you be in the inside jokes, you'll know what's going on.
We'll eventually like you.
No. Yeah. No. We already do. I mean, like, but I think it's like I think the onus is on us to be inclusive and explanatory, and the onus is on them to continue to show up for those first few weeks where it's hard.
Yes. I know some of the new moms are over. I always feel sad because they're like, well, you don't understand, or like it's you guys are not shy. No, I am. I just fake it really well.
Yeah,
it's really uncomfortable for me to go up to you and chat and talk about the weather or baseball or whatever.
But it's include new people in
exactly,
that way, or they're gone.
Exactly, they want to feel like they're part of this,
right? And
I want you to feel like you're part of this.
Yes, and most of the time they've been burned before.
Yeah,
a lot of people. It may not have been by homeschoolers, although sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Do better, all of us. But it may have been by a lot of people. It may not have been by homeschoolers, although sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Do better, all of us. But it may have been by other social circles, other moms groups or play groups or homeschool groups or school groups or sports teams or whatever. A lot of times I notice,
yeah.
Why? And put yourself in here if you're just...
I'll put my kids in there.
Right. If you're just going to be ostracized and excluded and not in on the inside jokes.
Yeah.
So, and I think we all understand that. At some point in our lives, we've been burned.
Yeah, Brittany.
She's looking at me accusing. Yeah. Unintentionally. But I mean, I think we all relate to that. And so it's like, do unto others kind of thing. How would you feel?
It feels crappy.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, that's really important. And I think keeping that in mind, that the reason someone may come off as reserved or may come off as standoffish is probably because they've been burned before.
I know. And sometimes it sucks because we'll see it. And I know it's not intentional. You want to be when we do activities, like when we do mom nights, there'll be new moms and everybody will like get really clicky. Like, no, I want to be do this thing with my friends. Well, you got to give them a chance and not make them feel obviously excluded from an activity. Right.
It is hard because there's all these layers in groups. It's like,
and we get it. Like, I know you want to be with your friends, right? We don't.
Right.
Sometimes, like I in particular, do not get enough opportunities to socialize on Fridays.
Right.
When we're at co-op because because I am running around doing stuff, and then I don't get to go to the park afterwards with a lot of our group. So I I don't get to hang out. So I want to be with my friends
too. So when you
too.
have a chance, you want to chat.
Yeah. So I get it. But then I have to chat with new people.
I know. Well, and then it's like keeping everyone on task, which we have a meeting tonight, and that'll be because we do devolve into conversations, and I'm like, there'll be newer people in the room, and they may not
get it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Or explain the history. Like we make our decisions this way because.
Yes.
Or we do it this way because they don't have the backstory.
Exactly.
And I think
like we've tried other ways. It did not work.
Remember, they're coming in from their place of their trauma, and we're coming in from ours, and we have to kind of explain it to each other and kind of put your arm around them and say, come on, you can do it. And it's hard because maybe we're getting better at this because there's been a few times where I was like, I hope that person felt connected and say, come on, you can do it. And it's hard because maybe we're getting better at this because there's been a few times where I was like, I hope that person felt connected. I don't know how much they talked to somebody today. And there's still, all of those people I've thought that about recently are still here.
Yes. And people actually talked well, which I'm so proud of our group. Yes. This person's really nice. And I was like, oh, fantastic. Because I didn't get a chance because I was running around to talk to this person.
There's also
so glad.
37 families in our co-op. And most of them have 1 to 2 parents. So that's,
it's a lot of adults.
Let alone kids.
So I'm glad other people are having relationships with them and giving them a chance. And letting them into our group.
And that's a great reminder because it doesn't have to be us as the leaders.
Yeah.
We do have to role model it.
Sure.
Encourage it. But it can be other people because all you need is one connection, right? It's like the whole concept behind homeschooling. It's so effective because if you have a connection with your educator, the student taught, well, you're much more likely to stay involved in the community if you have a connection to somebody in it.
Yes.
In fact, the downside to this is sometimes the new people already have a connection to something in it, and they kind of want it because they're like, well, that's my friend and they're in it and they love it.
Oh, and they love to name call.
Yeah, we do have that. Do you know blah, blah, blah? They're in their co-op and they're my best friend. And I'm like,
yeah, you're still not cutting the line.
Yeah. Well, so I have a very good friend on our waiting list right now. And
how far down?
Pretty far down.
Brittany.
I know. And I'm not pulling strings. And I told her, understand we have to be fair and equitable here. And she totally understands that. She's very understanding and lovely. But I was like, that's really hard. Like we all know somebody.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the opposite side of it. Sometimes the new people are already connected.
Am I going to have to fight somebody for your affection now?
No. No. Side of that too. So now we say all this, and let's say you're a new homeschooler and you're on a waiting list that's 40 bajillion families long, or you're feeling super intimidated by figuring out how this is going to work for you. Mm-hmm. I really, just because you're new, ignore the social media divide. You can start your own group.
Yes, please do.
Please, if what we're talking about is too much.
Yeah.
And you get to dictate what it looks like then.
And we'll help you if you need help.
Yeah.
Contact us.
Let us know. It is. If you're worried about this, and this is really important, if you have been burned multiple times and you can't find the culture for your family that's going to work.
Yeah.
Then
if you have a vision, make that vision a reality. Right.
And I think coming out of that place of I've been burned, I've been hurt, I don't want that to happen to other people, that's really empowering that's good motivation. Yeah. Because you're not going to do that to somebody else. So, yeah.
We don't have to be special. There can be other great homeschool co-ops out there.
The more, the better. It's not a turf war. Yeah, no, it's not. All right. Awesome, guys. So yes, we'd love to chat about new homeschoolers joining your current group, or maybe you're a new homeschooler starting a group, you can reach out to us at thevillagehomeschoolers@gmail.com, Instagram, Facebook. We'd love to talk, and we will be back next week with another podcast.